In this section, we're going to consider backup location, local versus cloud. So using Essentials, you can back up information from Office 365 to your local disk, to a network drive, and there are also two cloud options, those being Amazon S3 and Microsoft Azure. So if I just show you an example, if I was going to back up this site within my demo tenant, so I right click on it and choose Create Backup. If I jump straight away to Save Backup to Location, you can see it's currently defaulted to local file share, and the location is a location on my local disk. So if I run the backup with these options, it will back up to my local disk, which is, I suppose, useful for a small scale backup or a test. You can also back up to a remote location, so a local file share, for example, you could back up to. And then there are also the two cloud options. So if I choose the cloud storage radio button here and click on the three dots, now I've got the option to back up to Amazon S3 and also Microsoft Azure. So if I select Azure, for example, now it's prompting me to connect to a storage account. So I'll need to pre-provision a storage account in Microsoft Azure. So when I click connect, it's asking me for a storage account and a storage account key. So let's look briefly at how to do this. So I'm going to go to azure.com. And I'm going to click on my account and go to the Azure portal. So now I'm signed into my Azure tenant. The next thing I need to do is create a storage account to store the cloud backup in. So in order to do that, I go over to the left and click on New, go down to Storage and click on Storage Account, Blob File Table and Queue. So the next thing I need to do is give the storage account a name. So the name needs to be all lowercase, all one word. So I'm going to call it Example Cloud Storage. The remaining options here I can keep as default. Under the resource group here, I need to either create a new one or choose an existing resource group. I've already created a resource group, so I'm going to use the existing resource group. And finally, the location. This is the location the backup will be stored in within the Microsoft Data Center network. So choose the location that's closest to where you are or where your tenant is. So I'm choosing Western Europe because my tenant is provisioned in Western Europe. Finally, I'm going to check this box pinned to the dashboard so that it's easy for me to find this storage location when I come back. So next I click Create. Right, now that is currently creating my storage account. That takes a couple of minutes to provision. Okay, so now that my storage account has been created, I need to click on Blobs and click on New Container. So I click on this plus container here. I need to give the container a name. So this is the name of the container where the backup is going to be stored. So I'm going to call it Example Backup. And you have to change the access type here to container in order to be able to save your backup to it. And I click OK. So now I have my container, I have my storage account. The next thing I need to do is go and get the name and the key in order to back up to it. So in order to do that, I go back to my dashboard and click on my example storage account. And then in the left-hand navigation here, I go down to Settings, Access Keys. And this shows me two keys that have been provisioned already for accessing this cloud storage. So I'm going to connect this key here and click on Copy. And then I'm going to go back into Essentials and I'm going to enter the key in here, and the storage account name was here, Example Cloud Storage. So I'll copy that as well, enter that into there. Now click Connect. Now you see it's connected to my Azure storage. There's my container Example Backup. So from here, I can choose to back up in the root or create a new folder. So I'll create a new folder called Example. Click OK. Select that. Now click OK and OK. And now when I run this backup, it will back up to this Azure URL and to the blob storage container I've created and the folder I've created also. So that's how to set up Azure for cloud backup. So those are the different locations it's possible to back up to using Essentials for Office 365. So we have local disk, a network drive, and we have two cloud options, Amazon S3 and Microsoft Azure. The process for connecting to Amazon S3 is very similar to the one I showed you for Microsoft Azure.